So I'm Trisha Bantigue. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Queenly. And a little bit about my background is that I graduated from UC Berkeley, and soon afterwards I just started working in tech. So I worked at Google, Facebook, and most recently Uber, where I did executive recruiting for engineering and product. So I was definitely very close with the CTO of Uber and various executives, which led to them really being our first investors of Queenly when I left. And so I was born in the Philippines and I immigrated to the United States at the age of 10, specifically Las Vegas, Nevada. And due to various childhood hardships that I experienced, I ended up emancipating myself at the age of 17. So going to UC Berkeley, I was fully independent, and it was just really hard having this big, fat out-of-state tuition fee where I had to really figure out how to pay it off and survive in the Bay Area. Took on a bunch of different jobs, as well as I found out that pageant organizations were actually one of the biggest scholarship givers to young women in the United States. And I thought to myself, how hard can this be? It was actually pretty hard, but I ended up loving the whole experience, and never in a million years did I really think that one day I would compete in a beauty pageant. But one thing led to another. And when I got there, it pretty much broke every single stereotype that I had about the industry and the women, just because the women I met there were one of the most talented, intelligent, and kind-hearted human beings I've ever encountered. And they were like PhD scientists, entrepreneurs, lawyers, etc. And it really just inspired me, right? It's like the new modern day definition of what it means to be a woman, and modern day definition of feminism is you can do both, right? And so the pain point that I kept seeing was that these women were having a hard time finding and affording the evening gown, which is usually the main piece of a pageant. And these gowns were hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. And women are just like different heights, different shapes and sizes and skin tones, right? So it's just a really hard process. And due to my experience in tech, I just thought to myself, there should be a better way for this, for the whole formal wear industry. And especially because it's not just pageants, there's, all these different special occasion events that women go through in their lifetimes, such as prom, quinceañeras, sorority formals, weddings, galas, like military balls. There's just so many things. And I just thought that there wasn't really any safe and secure way to do it online, and nor were like existing platforms providing a good way to do it. So that's what led to Queenly.
Yeah, thank you for so much for that context and background. I think that leads into sort of the first question that I had for you quite well, which is, your background informs Queenly's mission today in democratizing the pageant industry as well as democratizing sustainability. So, can you tell us a little bit more about how you're increasing access to formal wear and also to more sustainable fashion, alternative approaches to fashion at Queenly?
Yeah, sure. This is great because, that's really the whole goal of Queenly. And, the whole concept of resale, re-commerce, and online marketplaces have been around for at least 10 to 15 years, and they've been common. But unfortunately, for this specific industry, it's very new. And what we've encountered when starting is that majority of the access to formal wear is still predominantly offline, meaning they only exist in brick and mortar stores and within like designers and manufacturers. And there hasn't really been this direct supply chain to access all of this inventory. And so it makes it really hard for women that don't have like a common size or a different body shape, right, that they have to cater to. And what we've heard is that a lot of our users used to drive 2 to 3 hours out to even get to their nearest boutique store, right? So we saw that, wow, this is just extremely like outdated and old school, and we'd love to help. And so what we've been able to do is bring a lot of this inventory online, as well as, we asked a lot of people, the dresses that they've worn to their prom, their wedding, or any kind of formal event, they've only worn it once. And with the rise of social media nowadays, people don't want to wear it twice or three times because it's already on their Instagram. And so it just stays in the closet. And because, when you put formal wear onto, let's say, Poshmark or Mercari, where it's a more so a generic marketplace, like you can find anything from snow tires and bath towels, the search accuracy for formal wear is really, really bad. And so, a lot of these dresses don't get sold within like 2 years. And that's a long time to wait. So they just get discouraged. And so what we've been able to do is really put it together, centralize all of the formal wear. So whether that's cocktail, mermaid, ball gowns, etc., for any type of event, it's on Queenly. Because of my co-founder's work experience from Pinterest, she's a senior software engineer and our CTO now. She's been able to create the most robust and accurate search engine for formal wear.
Oh, wow, cool. I didn't realize that connection with Pinterest, but Pinterest has like really advanced like image search functionality, so that
Yes,
makes sense. Cool. Yeah, I totally see that with like these generic marketplaces not being great for something super specific like formal wear. Like there's a specific occasion, and specific occasions sort of have different standards. And, there's so many layers of like what length of the dress, what level of formality, and then, of course, the sizing. And there's so much to sort by. It really warrants like a separate marketplace for that. So,
exactly.
yeah. So, in addition to your core business model, increasing access to formal wear, you also have a really holistic view of diversity and inclusion embedded into your company at every level, as we talked about in our previous chat. So, can you tell listeners about your approach to diversity and inclusion at Queenly?
Yeah, so we really believe that a lot of a company's culture and work environment is top down, and it starts from, the leaders, the co-founders that really lay out the foundation for it. And for Kathy and I, we are extremely progressive in so many different ways, and we want to advocate for a lot of the underrepresented communities, and that is something that we really live by. And so creating Queenly, and anywhere from just like our employees to the models that we hire to the features that we build for our users, we really have diversity and inclusion at the forefront of it. So for us, like right now, we have an amazing all-female engineering team, which is like super rare, but I guess very fitting for our business. And also, for our photo shoot campaigns, that we use for our website, our app, our marketing materials, our paid ads, etc., we always wanted to make sure that we create real diversity and not just like one token black model or one token, plus size model. And we've been able to hire so many different types of faces, right? And one thing that I'm really proud of is that since the beginning, we've actually hired a handful of trans women models. And, like we never wanted to be like, okay, we're only going to do this for pride. No, we're doing this like as a basis, we're doing this as a regular thing. And so what we really stand for is going out of our way to really include everyone that we represent on our app. So that's kind of just, what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's super admirable. And you're really setting the bar for other companies to hopefully, strive towards that as well, because it's just, yeah, so important to be considering that at every level, every aspect of your company. And so at Queenly, you're also very intentional about size inclusivity, not only in model representation, but also on your website and what's available to you. So, how do you ensure that there is size inclusivity on Queenly, even though it is a peer to peer reselling platform and you don't own the inventory? Like, how do you still try to prioritize size inclusivity?
Yeah, so I think in the very beginning, so we started out as purely peer to peer. Due to COVID, the past 2 years, we actually launched an extension of Queenly called Queenly Partners, where we were able to partner with small businesses that are boutique stores or smaller designer brands that really didn't have a way to make revenue during the lockdowns, right? And so now we both have brand new inventory from these stores that had a lot of trouble moving inventory in their store. as well as peer-to-peer, right, from women's closets. And I think the beauty of the model of peer-to-peer is that you allow for the control of the inventory to be democratized. And what I mean by that is that usually when there's like one brand, one manufacturer, and one team that handles the decisions, right? They're going to be such as, they're going to decide, okay, let's have sizes 0 to size 12 because that's the most popular and that's where we'll get the most profit back. And really, a lot of brands think about that, where it's not really profitable to have sizes that are over, let's just say 24, size 24, 26, 28. And that's really where like the plus size women have a lot of trouble is when they shop online, they don't even have any options at all. So now when we give the access and the control to our users, to the community, is that they're able to provide the inventory that usually brands lacked prior, right? So opening it up to more plus size women to pretty much be this community to each other and to provide other plus size women their own dresses that they fit is really the beauty of having a peer-to-peer model.
Yeah, yeah, that's such a good point. So, why do you think that fashion companies, maybe specifically in the formal wear industry, if you feel more comfortable speaking to that, why do you think that they are more stuck at this surface level of inclusion, diversity, and representation, stuck at this tokenism still and not really taking it to the next level?
Yeah, so for me personally, just like my personal opinion based off of the experiences that I've seen and the interactions that I've had with the existing older establishments within the formal wear industry, such as the brands, right, is that I do think that they're afraid of change. And that's so normal. Human beings are always afraid of change. And, it just goes to show that there needs to be a lot more understanding and there needs to be a lot more research done when it comes to the positive influences and positive effects of having real diversity and inclusion. I think that a lot of brands still don't really quite get why it's necessary, right? And they stick to what they know because if what they know has worked and is still working for them, why would they change, right? So I do think that not all business leaders are made the same, and frankly, a lot of business leaders are not thinking of the collective good of the community and mostly profiting. And that is how a business really kind of like withstands the test of time. Is like you got to think about the profit margins first and foremost, and you don't think about like all of these different things that people are asking for, such as sustainability or representation. But the thing is that times are changing. And I think the millennial and Gen Z era goes to show that they care. We care about where our clothes come from. We care about like what is the fashion waste that this does. We care about like, is this accessible? Is this diverse? Is this tone deaf? Like, we care. And I think that's something that a lot of older brands don't really understand yet, is that the new generations care a lot more than just having a nice brand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, this is all conjecture, but what do you think would drive them to actually make that change? Do you think it's enough consumers demanding it? And do you think it'll take until it actually hits their bottom line and they start, losing sales and losing profit margin for them to actually change? Or what do you think?
Unfortunately, I do think, it has to sometimes come to that where it hits them, where it hurts the most is their profit margins, right? And their revenue. And it really takes a collective of the consumers to come together and be like, hey, like, this is enough. This is not what we want to see from the brands that we wear. This is the representation that we want from you. And it's hard. It's hard to get everyone to come together for one collective cause, right? And right now I'm seeing a lot more plus size models and even plus size pageant women that are speaking out on social media saying, like, hey, when I shop for dresses online, I don't see anybody that is my size, my shape, my look. And that sucks as a consumer, right? And it's not fair because The thing is that we're all different shapes and sizes, but still we only see like size zeros and size twos online. And we still see like, the typical just like blonde haired, blue eyed models for a lot of these formal wear designers. And so, right now the market caters to Latinas and Asian Americans and Black women, but we don't see that enough, as well as on top of that is the plus size models, right?
Mhm.